conducted on it, the psychological perspective that this study is going to fill. I won't go into very detail of this literature review, but our study and theory, Bluestein et al., they presented the psychology of working framework. And then based upon that psychology of working framework, Duffy in 2016 presented antecedents and consequences of decent work. And they actually created a decent work scale based on the concept presented in the psychology of working theory. What should be the indicators of decent work? That was actually initially prepared and presented by Duffy. The three fundamental human needs outlined in psychology of working framework and decent work scale are built upon the concept of decent work as given out by the International Labour Organization and provide theoretical foundations for conceptualizing and measuring decent work. Now, what exactly is decent work? I will briefly go through the definition. According to the United Nations, decent work means opportunities for everyone to get work that is productive and delivers a fair income, security in the workplace, and social protection for families of the workers, better prospects of personal development and social integration. Then there are some other definitions I would like to skip due to shortage of time. Then important thing is decent work for women domestic workers, which is the focus of this study. Domestic work has been defined by ILO. A term domestic work means work performed in or for household or households. A man or woman working for some household with some family, they are assisting them in performing their household daily activities, jobs like cooking and cleaning, and sometimes gardening, working in the gardens, working as security guard at a house. This is what they call domestic work. It means domestic worker means a person engaged in domestic work within an employment relationship. And a person who performs domestic work only occasionally or sporadically and not on occupational basis is not a domestic worker. Sometimes it happens that we are assisting our family, our friends in performing their household work. But that is occasionally, so that is not domestic work. There are some statistics I would like to highlight. According to a recent report by ILO, around the globe, 75.6 million domestic workers are working, whereas around 50% of them, they are in Asia and Pacific region. Majority of, because I don't know about Kenya, I have studied, but I couldn't find much literature about this domestic workers in Kenya. But in general, what the statistics of ILO say, these African countries, they are at the bottom of the whole statistics, where very few people are involved in domestic work. But in our region, in South Asia, people, it's a trend or tradition that they are, if they can afford it, of course, they are hiring domestic workers who are assisting them in performing their household or day-to-day activities. You will not, they can afford, but you will not see it in Europe, in America, in the developing countries. But it's again very popular in Gulf countries. They are importing labor for domestic work from the countries, from low-income countries, from Pakistan, from Bangladesh, from Philippines, even from Somalia. They are importing domestic workers to get their household activities performed. And among them, 81% of those workers are engaged in informal employment. This thing is quite alarming, that out of all those domestic workers, 81% of them are working in the informal economy. They don't have any formal contract, they don't have any formal, even their employers, they don't follow any minimum wage rates. So in this particular situation, safeguarding, protecting their rights is quite a bit challenging. The conditions of employment for workers are not favorable across the globe. Women constitute 76.2% of the total domestic work population. Another alarming situation. More than 80%, you are not recognizing them as formal workers. Sorry, I will take just 5 more minutes. Okay. And 76.2% of them are women. How we can safeguard their rights is quite challenging. In Pakistan, 86.9% of women domestic workers are domestic cleaners and helpers, while around 69% of men involved in domestic work, they are working in a comparatively better positions as driver, a cook, as gardener and security guard. Gender pay gap also exists in Pakistan, which is 34%. Women earn 34% lesser than the men. So they're performing much cheaper jobs and they're earning lesser than men. The methods that we have used, I've got only 5 minutes, and will quickly go through the study, the way it was performed. This focused ethnography, this needs another quite different, another presentation. It's a new philosophy. In fact, focused ethnography was introduced from medicine and nursing, and then they transferred, they adopted it in social sciences, and we have used focused ethnography to explore this issue. We used interviews, we used participant observation to collect the data, and this actual study, as Professor Majid has already mentioned it, I have also briefed you about our project. This was a part of the larger project. Otherwise, because the individuals mostly they are involved in informal work, so there is no formal data available with any organization of how many domestic workers are working in the 3 districts that we have selected. But through our research, we found that 3,090 women, we could actually find 3,090 women domestic workers in 3 districts in which we conducted our study. And out of those 3,090, we finally conducted different, we used different limiters to identify the women who were willing, who knew about their rights, and then we took consent of the employers, and then finally we came up with 64 women domestic workers. We conducted interviews of those 64 women, and we conducted structured focused observation. And what were the results? Let me share with you. Data collection took place in 144 hours distributed over a period of 3 months. Let me show you the results. The teams developed on the basis of focused ethnography highlighted several challenges facing women domestic workers in Pakistan. Now, this is something this particular study has added to the existing knowledge. No other research was conducted, particularly in Pakistan. There are different indicators of decent work. There are problems identified by ILO and other organizations, but with the research specifically conducted in a particular area of Pakistan, and when we went through it, when we analyzed it, we realized that these things can be applied to the other places, particularly in developing countries, in the other contexts as well, like in Kenya, Nigeria, and other countries. They are facing the same situation. Women domestic workers, they are facing the same similar situations in their own areas as well. First of all, as we discussed, There is no formal work. Majority of the organization, majority of the countries around the globe, they do not recognize decent work as formal work. The other was lack of job security. And in my complete paper, I have quoted different examples of different women. They said that it happened that only for 2 days casual leave, a woman was fired from her job. It totally depended upon the discretion of the employer whether they wanted them to keep them as employee or they wanted to fire them. So the situation which they were working was very pathetic. Unpaid or low paid work. Most of them it happens that if you are working in the kitchen, you are cleaning the kitchen, you are cleaning the living area, the bedrooms. It's not the part of your job, but the employer will expect you to collect that garbage and throw it away maybe some 500 meters away from your house where there is a garbage collection facility, and they will not pay you anything for it. So many of the tasks they are performing, they are not paying for it. They don't get paid for it. Then gender discrimination is very much there. As I've already told you, even the statistics of ILO show that women, they're earning 35% lesser than men. Then violence, workplace violence and physical abuse was found because domestic workers, and there were some cases recently in which domestic workers were badly beaten and they were not provided enough food to survive. This violence and physical abuse was reported. Sexual harassment from male members of the family, that was reported. And then social and religious pressures. No matter in our Islamic society, women, they are expected that they are wearing veil, they are not leaving their houses without covering their faces or without wearing veil. Even after observing all those rules, women, they were considered that they are leaving houses or they are working in somebody else's house. That was not actually considered a good social practice. And then lack of voice. Because there's no formal organization, their work is not considered as formal, women, they don't have any voice, they don't have any union, they don't have any organization through which they can protect, safeguard their rights. Then there are certain prospects. The other part of the interviews and our focused observation was to identify the prospects. So the most important thing that was identified was these women domestic workers. Generally, when we, I will take just 2 more minutes. When we interviewed the women domestic workers, they said that our work, it's like the common domestic work, and we don't need any special training. But vocational training was very important for preparing the women domestic workers to to perform their jobs more efficiently and effectively. And those who received some kind of training, they were earning more than their counterparts. And then the other thing was sensitization of key stakeholders. Key stakeholders not only include domestic workers, but also their employers. We need to sensitize them. We need to create awareness among them so that they may provide decent work facility to their workers. This is about a bit discussion about the research, our current research, and how it is aligned with the previous studies. Finally, we can conclude that by identifying and addressing associated problems and prospects, decent work opportunities can be provided to women domestic workers in Pakistan. And the results of this study, because this is qualitative study conducted in a very specific particular area on very limited population, generally it is considered that it's not generalizable, but the same results, the same studies, a similar kind of studies can be conducted in Kenya, maybe in the other parts of the world, to identify the problems associated with decent work of women domestic workers. I won't go into the limitations. Significance, it was significant because it was the first study. Very few studies in the context of Pakistan have been conducted in this particular area. Thank you very much. I will end my presentation here. Thank you. I have taken too much time. Thank you.
Quite interesting indeed. A very nice discussion on decent domestic workers. So it leaves us with many questions, whether we are employing decent ones or ours are not decent. In this second session, we had 6 presenters, and 2 have presented. That means we are remaining with 4. And we are at 20 minutes to 2. Our lunch was supposed to be at 1:30. So the next presenters, I believe we have 2 remaining. 2 have apologized for not presenting this morning. So I believe we have Madame Gudu. We also have Ngugi and Nyaura. Are you here? Ngugi, Nyaura? You are there? The same one? No, you are there, I know. Where is Ngugi? It's not in, huh? So we are expecting presentation from Madame Gudu and Kipchilat. Oh. So we stop there? Okay, just a minute, please. He has something special.
A clap for the chair and the rapporteur. Asante sana Dog and even the other presenters who are already in the room. We want to appreciate our 2 professors all the way from Pakistan enlightening us on what happens. We are all aware if it is not happening in the village where you are coming from, wherever I come from, I get to hear a lot about our daughters going to Dubai, going to the UAE, and they have equally said they also get from groups from Pakistan going to those areas. We have a few minutes to 2. The director research is getting to me over the afternoon session, indicating that the VC and the public lecture team are around the corner. We are yet to break for lunch. That should be being done in the next 1 to 2 minutes. We shall be directed on where to go for lunch. Immediately we take lunch, and it will be served within the shortest time possible to enable us come back here for the afternoon session, which is basically the Vice Chancellor's address and the public lecture. We have a presentation that was scheduled for today, but the morning session took a bit of time to take off. We are supposed to have had 3 parallel sessions running,